is wonderful like that. Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Please.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I struggle with that roving mind still around. Okay, I'll try and speak that. Our mind is beginningless and endless, and when it first arose, whenever that was, it was a Buddha mind. How come if we already have an innate Buddha mind, we then get obscurations that we don't have to work on?
So we say that the pre-existent Buddha is more referring to the Buddha potential, the seed. If the seed, the next moment onward, happen to nurture, then even that very next moment can be fully awakening, the resultant stage. So, of course, once someone is Buddha, that cannot be interrupted by negativities. Because of the seed will never lose. The pre-existent seed is the Dharmakaya seed, which is a permanent, which is always there. But since just being a seed, not fully ripened, not fruition, that's why the interruption, like such as ignorance came in the middle.
Yeah. We come in potential, but we don't.
Yes. We came into existence as the Buddha potential, carrying that full potential seed. And when we use the language of that pre-existent Buddha, or at the beginning, we are no different than the Buddha, simply meaning that the obstacle of innate ignorance didn't interfere that very next moment of our existence as a being, even though the mind has no beginning. The consciousness, the continuum of consciousness has no beginning, no end. But that also doesn't mean that the conventional aspect of consciousness, continuum of consciousness, has no beginning. It doesn't mean that. I think it's simply the language is used in relation to the calculations of the humans' capability to understand, because we have no wisdom to trace back all the way up to where the beginning started. But for Buddha, why call Buddha, or why call omniscient, is all knowing 3 times. Our existence also has 3 times, past, present, future. And up to the last, and including of the very beginning, Buddha can determine when the inceptions of our living being came into existence, when the inception of that particular individual living being came into inceptions. Every single living being didn't necessarily exist in the same time. They logically also can prove if this is the case, then every single living being also need to be liberated at the same time. That's also not happening. So everybody has their own beginning, their own like arriving of the end, and not necessarily means ceasing of the consciousness or ceasing of the being, but ceasing of the sentient being, ceasing of samsaric being as a samsaric being. There's the end. Makes sense? Thank you. Any question? Yeah.
The group that has been doing the refuge practice, questions arose there. One particular that following, and I know Geshe hasn't got time to go into detail of the practice, that following in Geshe's book, the practice with visualization of Lama Tsongkhapa.
Yeah.
So that why the visualization of Lama Tsongkhapa rather than visualization Shakyamuni Buddha in that version?
I see. The Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, I added into the, if you want to, like do kind of structured sadhana is in the form of Guru Yoga practice. It's not really the actual practice of refuge. So it is just a preliminary practice, like setting correct motivation. Then after that, then, also have the element of Guru Yoga practice, which this morning I mentioned briefly. Without the channeling of the Guru, there's no channel to receive blessings of the deity. There's no bridge to receive the blessings of the Buddhas. So Guru play that medium. So in order to ripen our refuge practice, whatever practice we're going to do, especially in relation to this particular Ngondro practice is about refuge, the refuge practice to result as a path in our spiritual continuum, then we need the blessings from the Buddha Dharma Sangha. And that has to be channeled through the Guru. The spiritual realization, the blessing to cause spiritual realization is, transmit through the Guru. So in order for us to have that conducive condition, that's why, the Guru Yoga practice is added. But of course, in the Gelug tradition, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga is commonly conducted. So that's why such as Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. But if you are coming from other tradition like Nyingma Kagyu Sajya, then it also has their own Guru Yoga practices. You can implement them. So again, the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, yes, so the essence of the Guru Yoga practice is simply acknowledging or understanding the one's the wisdom aspect of the our mind, or the clear-light mind, or our ultimate being, the wisdom being, seeing inseparable from your Guru. So the Guru, here you can refer to Lama Tsongkhapa, or you can refer to like His Holiness. You can refer to your own spiritual gurus. And that is inseparable from the causal refuge that you're going to practice, which is Buddha Dharma Sangha, one taste. You can choose to meditate or practice that your innate being and Buddha Dharma Sangha oneness. But there is a special benefit adding the Guru into that practice. And that the adding the Guru make it is more favorable for the success of the practice that you're going to engage. You see, because the Guru is the medium to channel all the blessings. So because of that. Yeah, Venerable.
That's just come. Nat has a further question.
Oh, I do. This is a
Okay.
question from Pooja.
Okay.
I'll just read her question. So the question is, please, if we are doing refuge, Ngondro mantra accumulation and Mani mantra accumulation in one sitting, do we have to imagine the refuge field, do recitations, then dissolve it and restart with self-arising Chenrezig, do Mani mantra, etc.? Or is there a way to combine this?
So you can do both way. You can do the dissolvation of the earlier practice, then regenerate the self-generations of the practice, like in relation to here, like the Chenrezig practice, or whatever deity practice that you have been doing earlier, whenever you move to the next practice, so simply understand one essence with a different emanation, one essence with a different purpose of practices. It comes in the different form of deity, different form of yogas or practice like that. So either way, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Excuse me, Geshe, there's some Vanessa online. Would you like to unmute Vanessa and ask Geshe your question?
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse my ignorance, but I would like to understand. You mentioned to try.
The sound is not so good.
Okay, I'm happy for someone to.
Sound.
Vanessa, can you type into the chat your question?
Yes.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me okay? It's Rob here. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Vanessa was asking, what was the practice that Geshe Zopa spoke of to try and do 6 times a day for 365 days? That was the question, I think.
So the question was a follow-up question to Nat's question to say, what does that involve?
Was that?
What you said.
Okay.
Maybe read it.
So if you wish to conduct different yogas related to different practice or different deities, like such as practices related to Tara and practice related to Chenrezig. If you are performing that in one sitting, one session. So if you are generated self as a Tara and conducted the related practice, and now you want to move to Chenrezig practice, you can either dissolve the Tara practice, then freshly you start the Chenrezig practice, which usually involve, especially those of individual who have initiation, then involve the self-generation in relation to deity yoga practices. So first you dissolve the earlier deity like a Tara. The tool required to do that is the basic understanding of emptiness. So you are dissolving, in emptiness, the self-arise. The self-generated Tara, as well as the front generation as a merit field, all dissolve into emptiness. So without the knowledge how emptiness works, then you won't able to do that. So you need the knowledge of emptiness. Then the second deity to start the practice of the second, like the practice like Chenrezig, again it involves self-generation, front generation, and actualizing self-becoming Chenrezig. Only will manage to do so if we again have the emptiness, the tools of emptiness understanding. From the emptiness, then it literally able to arise as a deity. Otherwise, it's just simply believing or simply imagining. Here, when we talk about the deity yoga practice in such a serious practice, we don't imagine becoming deity. We don't imagine the deity is actualized in front as a front generation, as a merit field. We visualize them. So when we talk about visualization, it's actually making it real. What makes possibility of becoming real when you arise as a deity? You become real deity through the tools of emptiness. Not just the power of deity, or not just because of your nature is emptiness. In between, you still need the understanding how emptiness works. You see, so because of nothing exists substantially, whether to do with this ordinary base, as a human body, as me, my aggregates, as well as the divine object, the deity, whether it's in a Dharmakaya form or Rupakaya form. There's no substantially or innately existing deity out there. There's no substantially innately existing ordinary person out here. Because of there's no inherent substantially truly existing both divine and ordinary, or both Chenrezig and Tara, there is a possibility of actualizing both on the basis of one reality, which is the emptiness reality. On the basis of the emptiness reality, you can purify this ordinariness, which very much created by misconception, by false idea, completely purifying, completely empty in emptiness. From that voidness, then you arise something which is meaningful as a pure being, like a Tara. How you create that Tara? You have to create, every creation exists interdependently, isn't it? Interdependently can be actualized, all existence. All existence exists in the nature of interdependently existent, isn't it? In another word, all existence exists in the nature of emptiness. That the same meaning is referring to all existence exists in the nature of interdependent on cause and conditions. So what are the cause and conditions? In order to really actualize, really become self as a Tara or Chenrezig, or really in front of you, there is an absolute merit field. You are not imagining really out there. You really can relate the practice and you can purify. You achieve the benefit of purification. You also achieve the benefit of accumulation, because really there's an object at which you can relate that practice. That's why result is possible. So these are creations of dependent on interdependent cause and condition. So interdependent cause and condition, the main one is emptiness itself. So that's why the understanding of how emptiness works, that has to be intact. Secondly, then of course, the characteristic of the deity. In order to actualize the wholeness of the deity out there, to make sensible that is Tara, is not Chenrezig, you need to know all the characteristic of Tara, isn't it? Her looks, her representations, her energy, her activities. Even among the 21 Taras, if you want to visualize white Tara, is a different energy than the green Tara, different characteristic than the green Tara. Even though same characteristic as a Tara, but because of white Tara is a different characteristic than the green Tara. So having the knowledge of who Tara is, what Tara represent for, what are her aspirations, what are her benefits. These are the conditional causes that we need to actualize. And you need to build, you need to build that image, you need to build that Tara on that very conducive base, which is the emptiness. And through these two tools, you actually, manage to bring Tara lively in front of you as a object of merit field. You literally able to become yourself Tara to purify your ordinariness and to able to enjoy the divine. So through the tools of emptiness, that's the must. And second thing is learning the characteristic of the deity. So these are the two tools. So now, when you dissolve, when you want to move on to the next deity yoga practice in the same cushion, for the purpose of enhancing activities, both mundane and spiritual activity, you practice the yoga of Tara. Now you want to enhance the activities of the compassion quality, on this ordinary human being through the tools of the yoga of the deity yoga of Chenrezig, that I want to enhance my quality of compassion to eventually result me as become a resultant Chenrezig. So that's why now I need to practice the Chenrezig yoga, not a Tara yoga. So in order to do that, now you dissolve self-being as a Tara into emptiness. Because there's nothing else other than emptiness to go back. Because there's no any substantial basis exists in entire existence that say this is the home to go back for Tara, this is the home, separate home to go back Chenrezig, and this is the separate home to go back this ordinary person, isn't it? Everything actually go back to the one home, one base, one ultimate base is none other than emptiness. So everything dissolve into one taste, become one taste, a manifestation out of one taste, which is none other than emptiness, isn't it? So therefore, now you dissolve the Tara, whatever is visualized, everything dissolve into a light. That light also dissolve into that complete void of, it is substantially can be kind of like separate, different from just being nature of voidness. And now here you just like put aside of the Tara. Then from that voidness, again, since there's no inherent substance of being Tara or ordinariness, now you can really become Chenrezig. Again, through what? Cause and condition. In another way is interdependently you develop a Chenrezig again. In the same way as how you did for Tara, then now you become Chenrezig. Now you actualize Chenrezig in front as a merit field. Then after that, for the next 1 day or 2 days that you have no plan to do any deity yoga practice, then much more nicer to stay in the divine being than ordinary being, isn't it? Much more meritorious and so much of benefit living in the divine state. So meaning there's no need to dissolve. And carry on with that divine awareness, which is called the divine pride. So divine pride is nothing other than simply having the mindfulness about that divine identity. So that's called divine pride. It's not talking about ordinary ego or pride. It's self-respect. The divine pride is just simply another language, is like a self-respect of I am Chenrezig. So you need to hold without any doubt because you are not lying. You are not lying. At the moment, actually, we are lying that I am ordinary. As we discussed briefly this morning, our real being is not ordinary. Our real being is actually, there's no essence of, like substantially existent as a samsaric person. Actually, our real being is the Dharmakaya, isn't it? But we still hold on that identity as I am ordinary person. I have this and that limitations. Actually, is a false kind of claim, in fact. But still, in the conventional world, that's fine. That's truth. Relatively, that's truth. So if this can be truth, and this can identify who you are as a person, in whatever, I mean, if you go to meet your friend and you introduce, that ordinariness of yourself, and that person recognizes you as that ordinary, it's not a false view. Relatively, it's truth, even though it's false in ultimate, but relatively, it's truth. So similarly, when we become a deity, when we're holding this divine pride, we are very much we are very much that person, that Chenrezig. We're very much that divine one, you see, and you are not lying. Ultimately, it's still false. The reason is you have not actualized the resultant Chenrezig yet. But relatively, as truth as right now, I'm claiming I'm Tenzin Zopa, it's truth in relative. Ultimately, it's a false. Like kind of like presenting myself as a Tenzin Zopa. Relatively it's truth, but ultimately it's a false. Because if you go to search Tenzin Zopa in me, you won't find Tenzin Zopa. From crown to toe, you won't find Tenzin Zopa, isn't it? You won't find in my thoughts, you won't find in every aggregates, the wholeness of my aggregates also not Tenzin Zopa. So it's false, but relatively, there's no other than the presenting this wholeness. There's no, I cannot present you as me, isn't it? I cannot present Venerable Chogi as Tenzin Zopa here, isn't it? I still have to present, to travel, you have to prove the immigration, you have to present that this is, isn't it? So here now, when you become a divine, when you become a deity, relatively, when you hold that divine pride, relatively you are presenting that divine being. You're presenting, if you become Chenrezig, you're relatively presenting Chenrezig. And through the power of that positivity, you actually it carries great power to benefit others. And first person is you yourself get benefited because you carry that positive respect about yourself. Like, can you imagine, like, if you really believe that I am Chenrezig, and you become Chenrezig with a correct parent, you see, like, I'm Tenzin Zopa is very much makeup to become who I am is with a valid parent. Valid parent and valid basis of the human aggregates, isn't it? Then, on the substance of the parent, then my consciousness, very much settled there. Then on the basis of that, the name Tenzin Zopa is given, and I uphold that with the sense of self-respect. Simply in the meaning of recognizing Tenzin Zopa is me. When you create a when you become a Chenrezig using the parent of emptiness, parent of emptiness, then your wisdom settled there. Then after that, then you have a self-respect of recognizing I am Chenrezig and you are Chenrezig. There's almost like no different how you become who you are now, and after meditation, how you become Chenrezig, who you are as a Chenrezig now. Isn't it? It makes some sense? I don't know my English making it clear or not, but you got my point, isn't it? So in short is, when you through the tools of wisdom or emptiness, when you become pure being, you literally become pure being. That's what I'm trying to say. Relatively is truth. You're not lying. Ultimate is still not there yet. In the deity world, ultimate is when you become the resultant deity. So similar go to the practice of refuge. At the moment we practice the causal refuge. We try to use our wisdom as a Buddha refuge, Dharma refuge, Sangha refuge, the wisdom of Dharma, wisdom of understanding our true being as a Buddha being. Then upholder of this wisdom is called Sangha. You see, practicing repeatedly, habituating, practicing, this yoga, eventually, we will come to a point of complete purifications of that ordinary mind, the ordinary person. That until that, that fully awakening state of our wholesomeness will be there. And that's the time that you become a resultant, you become a Buddha. That's called the resultant Buddha, resultant Dharma, resultant Sangha, So something like that. Is that okay? Okay. Any more questions? Yes, please.
Might be before me, but other people may already gone past that stage. But I initially thought taking the Ngondro is a preliminary to like taking up more and further initiations, like the Tantra. And also when you do puja, often it says visualize yourself as a deity. And in small print, it says, if you've not taken initiation, don't do that. So, so if I haven't gone onto the path of Tantra, and can I visualize myself in the form of those deities?
Okay, very important question. Yes. So, even without the tantric initiation, you can see yourself oneness with the deity. But becoming deity, according with the sadhana, which you cannot do until you receive the initiation. We can always, even from the very beginning, even before becoming Buddhist, even before taking refuge, going through refuge ceremony, but you still have this past imprint of, the connection that you feel with the deity like a Tara or Chenrezig, and simply understanding and acknowledging that I am oneness with Tara. I'm inseparable from Chenrezig or Tara. That anybody can do. But according with the sadhana, there's a step to become a deity. Suppose like a Tara. then you need to have a preliminary preparation, including initiations of the high secret tantric deities. Otherwise, yeah, you can still do the earlier one, but not the second one. But as far as concerned with like a refuge, Ngondro, preliminary practice, ultimately, these Ngondro practices are for us to be prepared or endowed with all these conducive conditions to practice the high yogic tantra, the tantric practice, in particularly high yogic tantra. As I mentioned before, the 2 stages of the tantric practice, in order to purify the subtlest obscuration in our system. Ultimate goal is to achieve Buddhahood, not just for liberation, not just to achieve higher rebirth. I want to practice Dharma while I have all the conducive environment of precious human life, complete teachings of the Buddha, Sutra and Tantras are available, qualified teachers are available. I have time to practice. So why not I take the highest ambitions of spiritual journey, which is to achieve Buddhahood, not just liberation. So for that, then without practicing the high yogic tantra, there's no shortcut. But in order to practice high yogic tantra, you need to have a lot of preparation to be prepared. So there are uncommon preparatory practice and common preparatory practice in order to practice high yogic tantra, or in other words, 2 stages of tantric practice. Uncommon preparatory practice, or the Ngondro practice, minimum the 4 major Ngondro practices, which is we call to very much to plant the seed of enlightenment in this conducive human body. You adopt the practice of refuge, is to plant the seed. Then, in order to the seed to grow, there may be a lot of obstacles. All that obstacles need to be purified. In order to do that, then you adopt the practice of Ngondro Vajrasattva practice. This is the second one. Now the seed is planted, obstacle is not there, but you still need to nurture them. You still need to nurture them to continue to grow. So you need the conducive conditions. What are those? It's a merits, merit of wisdom, merit of methods. So in order to accumulate those resources, then you adopt the Ngondro practice of accumulating merit through mandala offering practice. Like Lama Tsongkhapa, 3,500,000 mandala offering, he have accumulated. We know the story that, when he did the mandala offering, he used a rock base. He don't really have this, like today's time, like prepared fancy mandala sets. So you just use a plain rock plate. Then he used, the stones, etc. So there's a yoga to be practiced, like purification, accumulation, engaging with the practice of mandala. That there's a wrist need to be rubbed. So when he accomplished even halfway of accomplishing this number of mandala offering to accumulate merit, his wrists were worn out. All this until they can reach to the bone. That much hardship, that much diligence he have put. Just an example, to accumulate merit. Now, seeds plant, obstacle clear, conditions to, the conducive conditions are actualized. Now you need the channeling of the blessing of the deity, channeling the blessing of the Buddhas. And for that, we need Guru. So that's why the 4th major Ngondro practice is Guru Yoga practice. So refuge, Vajrasattva, mandala offering, and Guru Yoga. These are called the 4 major Ngondro practices. If you want to go more than that, there are 6, like prostration, water bowl offerings, and it can go more, like Vajradhaga, fire puja practices, satsa making practices, so many more can go, but minimum. So these 4 major ngondros are called the uncommon preparatory practice to lead us to be a conducive practitioner to practice the high Sukhi Tantra. Now, what are the common Ngondro practice, common preparatory practice? General Lamrim teaching practices are the general Ngondro practices. If this sum up into a few words, it's called the 3 principal aspects of the path. So we need to have a clear understanding of 3 principal aspects of the path. We need to practice. We need to apply the 3 principal aspects of the path into our training, like practice of renunciation, practice of bodhicitta, practice of emptiness. No question about we need to have an intact knowledge about these 3 things, but we also need to have a certain kind of exercise experience in our day-to-day life. So these are the common preparatory practice. As I mentioned just before, without the emptiness, no way you can become deity. When we talk about practicing of generation and completion stage of high Sukhi Tantra, there are major exercise of becoming the deity, actualizing the deity's mandala. Very much utilizing all the channels and chakras, etc., the clear light practices, etc. So without emptiness, all this work cannot be done. So that's why you need the common preliminary practice, be prepared. So emptiness. Without bodhicitta as a preparatory, even you practice Tantra, your goal will be still for small purpose. Maybe you practice Tantra just to feel divine, but there's no greater purpose than that. Why you want to practice Tantra? Because you want to achieve full enlightenment in the swiftest as possible, because of you understand the miserability of the numberless sentient beings' condition right now. So you can't wait 3 countless eons of time or 3 countless eons of lifetime to achieve the tools of enlightenment to bring benefit to sentient beings. If you follow only sutra, it literally takes that much amount of time. So you need something sweet path. And what makes you inspired to take the sweet path is bodhicitta. So if you don't have a strong bodhicitta, then even you meet Tantra, the purpose becomes very small. But if you have the bodhicitta, the purpose of Tantra becomes so magnificent. Now, to develop bodhicitta and develop emptiness without renunciation, without understanding the limitations of samsara, without understanding limitations of delusion, without understanding the limitations of defilements, you won't aspire to get liberated. You won't aspire to become Buddha, isn't it? You need some concrete reason why you choose the path of Dharma first place. Because you see the limitations of worldly life, samsaric existence. Not only that, you also understood the limitations of sufferings, limitations of all the defilements. You see, so therefore, from there, then you aspire for not only solid and complete path, but something is sweet path, which is the tantric path. So that's why the 3 principal aspects of the path, or the Lamrim teaching, is a common Ngondro. Then these 4 major Ngondro as an uncommon Ngondro. Once you are ready, intact with this, because this will help to not only equip with the correct wisdom, the needed all the tools and the right attitude, but you also have a stores of merit. Then after that, you receive the initiation. You start to practice the Tantra, like sadhana. The impact is like how to say, sweet flow of the blessings. And that's what the Kadamba masters, like Lama Tsongkhapa himself, and all the earlier masters like Atisha, Domdamba, Sharawa, Chengawa, Chekawa. There are many, like Langri Thamba, Tongme Sangbo, you know, etc., etc. There are many Kadamba masters who in their very brief lifetime, you know, they have the highest success in spiritual practice because of they have a fully well prepared with all this preliminary practice, both common and uncommon. Then they adopt the tantric practice. That makes them possibility of one lifetime enlightenment quite easily, quite, you know, very swiftly. So here we want to kind of like how to say, so that in Tibetan saying, you say the biography or the story of the that's gone beyond, or the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and gurus. You know, you follow the footsteps as a student. You know, into practice. What they have done, we try to do similar thing. So at least in the lifetime, you know, try to whether we really become able to become Buddha or not, really realization comes in our way or not, but at least I want to do whatever Lama Tsongkhapa did. So Lama Tsongkhapa, you know, master into Lamrim, that you can clearly see from his Lamrim teachings. These are all his knowledge, you know, all his understanding, all his practice, you see. So, and I think all of us, we learn Lamrim. We've been studying Lamrim for a long time, you know. And Lama Tsongkhapa also consolidate, or very much entire Lamrim into that short teaching called Three Principal Aspects of the Path. You know, there's just about 2 pages of text, 3 principal aspects of the path. So that's the essence of the entire Lamrim. So this is how he practiced. This is his knowledge. Then, as I mentioned before, after he became a great scholar, he even composed all this Lamrim teaching. Then suddenly he needed something to speed up, really, to receive the blessing is to engage into a Ngondro, you know, uncommon Ngondro practices. And by then, Lama Tsongkhapa have received many initiations already. I have also given some example of many senior practitioners are here who have received initiations, who have learned Lamrim, who are practicing for a long time. Maybe some of them already Buddha. Maybe some of them, they practice so hard, but they're still striving. You know, I want the kick of the result. You know, I want to experience that. It's like kind of like in a very impatient way. So looking at the Lama Tsongkhapa's life, all the Kadamba masters' life, all our living masters' way of life, if you really want to experience that result, the kick of your spiritual practice, then, or the taste, I don't know, maybe whatever you want to say, that, you know, then, you know, you can conduct these practices. You try to imitate the lifestyle of Lama Tsongkhapa. What he did is never too late. You know, Lama Tsongkhapa performed this Ngondro much later. You know, it's very much end to his life. You know, as you know, in the story, he was being extremely busy because he was the greatest scholar, greatest teacher. You know, all Nyingma, Kagyu, Sakya, you know, everybody is coming to learn his knowledge. Because he studied of Nyingma teaching, Kagyu teaching, Sakya teaching, and he very much like bring to like kind of like clarification, you know, further more intense, more depth understanding, and clear presentation, complete presentation. So everybody was so admired. Like his disciple, like Kedubje, Gyaltsabche, you know, Sakya before. You know, initially they were the opponent of the debater to Lama Tsongkhapa. They were great scholars. You know, they challenged with Lama Tsongkhapa. You see, but then after you know, seeing his knowledge and his capability in understanding the correct, you know, the teachings of all the profound teachings, everybody very much become like his disciple, even though he came, much later than many great scholars already came into existence. Even the traditions in all the three earlier great traditions was already formed, extensively spread around Tibet. Lama Tsongkhapa from now is just about 600 years ago. You see. And even the earlier great master become his hard disciple, like Gyaltsab Khedrubje. You see. And he can see his life is catching up. And his times are so busy. But still, he felt there's limitations of that complete taste of the Dharma, which is arising as a realization. So that's how that I shared the story this morning about consulting Manjushri and asked him to do the Ngondro practice much later. So that's why this Ngondro practice is not a not a kind of like a initial practice, baby practice. Even though given a name called Ngondro, preparatory, preliminary, it sounds like it's a small practice, the initial practice. I'm also giving an example that there's no practice that which has no element of Vajrasattva. There's no element of Guru Yoga. There's no element of refuge and bodhicitta, isn't it? There's no sadhana practice. In fact, any sadhana practice without this element, the sadhana practice has no weight. There's no meaning, even though there could be a powerful mantra there, maybe amazing, the deity image may be there, mudras may be there, but without the element of refuge, bodhicitta, Vajrasattva, all the actual weight of the practice is not there. You see, so like that. So given the name of Ngondro or preliminary, specifically, this will help to lead us with the full preparation to able to digest the most extensive and profound practice of the Haisukhi Tantra. Otherwise, this is not even a Ngondro. This is an actual practice. Okay. Yes.
I heard that you mentioned why not go for Buddhahood? Why stop at liberation?
Can you say again?
I heard you can.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, I heard you say, why not go for Buddhahood? Why stop at liberation?
Yeah.
And my understanding is, I like to separate what I would call awakening or realization of emptiness from perfect enlightenment or Buddhahood. Is that the distinction that you're making, that why stop at realization of emptiness when you can go for perfect Buddhahood or enlightenment? Is that the distinction?
Maybe somewhere there. You see, the main cause of liberation from six realms, like a nirvana peace, is the emptiness. Main cause of enlightenment is not the emptiness, it's the bodhicitta. But of course, bodhicitta without emptiness cannot be enlightened. But liberation can be achieved without bodhicitta. So just the wisdom of emptiness is not necessarily, managed to open your heart that can reach out to all sentient beings. So even though how great the wisdom of emptiness can be, if you just contented with that, the greatest result is not more than liberation. So why you just go for that? Rather, you seek altruistic wisdom, altruistic purpose, which is the Buddhahood.
Yes.
Something like that?
Yeah, and this makes sense to me too. My next question then is, isn't ultimately the perfection of the realization of emptiness automatically bodhicitta?
No.
Because the thing missing, if bodhicitta is missing, it's because there's some presence of some self-grasping and therefore an absence ultimately of a full penetration of the realization of emptiness.
Mhm. Okay, so the full force of manifestations of the wisdom of emptiness, yes, it comes out of the power of bodhicitta. But to have the completeness of the wisdom of emptiness not necessarily require the element of bodhicitta. To have the fully characterized
Okay.
quality wisdom of emptiness, no need bodhicitta.
Yep.
But that same wisdom of emptiness to function, the greatest benefit out of it, that require bodhicitta. Without bodhicitta, yes, emptiness wisdom is the purest, perfect, but it just remains as a perfection, but the perfection does not translate reaching out to the benefit of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe benefit of the world maybe could be just for one person, that himself or herself who just get liberated.
Would you class that as the soul realizer path?
So, yeah, solitary realizer's path and
Okay.
hero's realizer's path.
Okay.
Or even in before even we choose whichever of these three paths, Bodhisattva path or the solitary or hero path, while we are learning Lamrim or three principal path, if you have the element of bodhicitta from the very beginning, even while you are studying, the wisdom can be more effectiveness in reaching out to the impact of well-being of others. And without that, it can be quite solo, very limited kind of benefit, even though so effective benefiting for your own liberation, but then the benefit could be just that alone.
So would you therefore say that a realized, liberated soul realizer or soul path would not be classified as a perfected Buddha?
No, it is a perfected liberation, but it still is not ultimate liberation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Perfected is its own right, because it's truly able to eliminate both causes of the samsara, the karma and delusion, when you achieve the solitary realizer's liberation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very pure and perfect, and it's perfect liberation. But it is not ultimate, because it's still there are greater liberation can be achieved if you train further by adopting the Bodhisattva's path. That's why not ultimate liberation.
Yeah.
Even though there are some language you can use, like ultimate liberation. Even in the philosophy, there's a debate whether there's a three ultimate liberation or only one ultimate liberation. There's a debate.
Okay.
So there are groups of philosophers would agree only one ultimate liberation, which is enlightenment. Therefore, the earlier two was not ultimate liberation.
Yeah.
Then you may also debate what is the difference between perfection liberation, perfect liberation and ultimate liberation. There can be some debate. What do you mean by perfect? What do you mean by ultimate? What is the difference? Because perfect sounds like ultimate.
I think these are very important distinctions, because
Very important.
often people just describe one assuming it means the other, and
Yeah.
it's not. I like Sogyal Rinpoche once said about with Dzogchen that or Rigpa, our nature was emptiness, but its radiance was compassion.
Yeah.
I like the fact that that's a description of the whole nature, not just one element. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When you achieve just a self-nirvana, self-liberation, you only achieve partial, one-sided. From every point, it's just one-sided. You see, you're still very small. We have the individually carry that vastness, the openness as equal as a Buddha, and even you achieve that perfected liberations of solitary and hera, your heart is still close up. That's why in relation to the Mayanic path, even the nirvana peace is a negation. So, of course, nirvana peace is not a negation generally. It is to be achieved, isn't it? It is something to aspire to achieve. It's not something to be negate, isn't it?
Mm.
But in relation to the Bodhisattva path, then nirvana peace, the nirvana through nirvana peace in relation to whether solitary realizer or hera, is not saying negative, but it is unworthy. It need to be purified. In other words, it become obstacle. Actually, nirvana peace is the obstacle to open your heart from the Mahayanic teaching point of view.
I also see that the solo path, in a sense, is still almost like a single point versus all points. And I would think somewhere there's a self-referential bias that's
Yeah.
still present. that
Exactly.
When once dissolved through the perfection of emptiness,
Yeah.
there is now no one point. There's all points, which then all has a spontaneous altruism that comes from that because
Yeah.
it's selfless.
Yeah, I mean, just emptiness alone. Yeah, emptiness alone, it purifies the grasping ignorant, but it won't able to purify the self-cherishing, the aspect of the attitude.
Which then leads into all the points you're making about the subsequent practices to then purify that.
Yes.
That momentum towards self-grasping, even though emptiness has been realized.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then at the same time, in the Bodhisattva's path, after you realize emptiness, the progress of the ground, there are 10 bhumis, isn't it? This need to progress step by steps. For that, you need the force of antidote, which is none other than emptiness. And the emptiness, the characteristic is the same quality, the emptiness that which realized by solitary realizer.
Yeah.
There's no difference, exactly the same. And at the same time, the wisdom of emptiness is still the direct antidote to overcome the stages of the negation in order to progress stages of the ground.
But the intention that drives it is the bodhicitta.
Yes, the intention is the one that which brings out the effectiveness of the force of the emptiness, as I mentioned before. Bodhicitta helps emptiness to grow, not grow in the sense that there's a further more to realize, nothing more to realize, but to manifest it is benefit. But in order to bodhicitta to grow, the main force is none other than emptiness. But that only happen when you are in Bodhisattva path. Before Bodhisattva path, emptiness doesn't necessarily help to grow bodhicitta, because someone until actualizing self-nirvana, bodhicitta is out of their sight. And they develop emptiness fully. So there's a fine distinctions. So this is a very good subject of debate, actually. You can trick people so easily. But great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Uh-huh. Now you're doing when we do the consecration practice, there's a rope that tie around. Maybe this is. I think next time the rope of the mic, I think we need the 5-color string band.
Geshe-la,
Sorry.
listening to your discussions with Patrick, I'm just thinking that perhaps the self-realizations and the solitary hearer's path is more an intellectual kind of
No,
understanding, or is it more than that?
more than that. They are really deep practitioners, meditators. They go beyond intellectual.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
but it still carries a limitation, both in intellectual as well as in practice.
Right. So if it goes beyond the intellect, but what it is lacking is altruism.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Straight on the point.
So if you have that path, you're on that path, do you come back to samsara?
You can choose to come back to samsara to help sentient being. You will have that much courage.
But if you want to come back as to help sentient beings, that would make it altruistic.
The altruistic is the reason. If you have the ability to choose, you have you don't mind to come back, and the altruism is the one that who's driving that. In that level. Otherwise, many come back without choice.
So if I go on the bodhisattva path, like I follow bodhisattva way of life,
You are already.
Mind world,
You already.
I try to follow that. And
You have a good example. You with the Buddhist following Buddhist path, even heal your cracked bone without knowing.
so if let's say we follow just bodhisattva path and we don't have the intellect to understand emptiness or anything like that.
No, not good enough.
I follow.
You have no choice. You have to understand emptiness.
So we won't try until the
But
next life.
but the more you increase your altruism, that naturally will lead you to to understand emptiness, to realize emptiness. Because even a one moment of altruism, it purifies our limitations, our ignorance. It really accumulates so much of merits, and that will naturally lead to a right path for us to realize, or at least study and practice emptiness. It will help.
Right. Because a lot of us, I think, are quite good at Kriya Yoga. We do things for the Sangha and we do things for the temple. But there are sometimes limits and things. I listen to somebody and I think, oop, I'm not that smart.
No, all of you are very, very good, already very, very good. But until become Buddha, always have a limitation. So until become Buddha, we have to keep working hard. Even in this very stage, everyone is doing really great. I gave an example, isn't it? This morning, isn't it? In the motivational. In fact, I didn't manage to even start the teaching. I supposed to do all this. Anyway, I think no need to recite because I say in the meaning, the salutation to Buddha, Guru, all this. Traditionally, you recite them, then after that, then you start the teaching. So I didn't manage to do that.
And to have a tea break?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely a tea break, yes. So I didn't listen to my alarm clock. Yes, everybody is doing, as I mentioned this morning, not only we are inspired by the Buddhas, gurus, we are inspired by each other. I was talking about people who stay sitting in front, sitting behind, sitting at your side. In the midst of so much distraction, you're still practicing, you're still doing great work. You're living like Bodhisattva's way of life. Your life is like Bodhisattva's way of life, It's really, really amazing. But that's enough? No. The learning, I mean, for 30, 40 years, you've been keep studying Lamrim. I hear so many seniors, come to listen my talk. It's so embarrassing to me. I mean, so shy for me. Not, so many learned people here. Some of them are there. They came from really, really long time. They study very, very thoroughly. They practice every single day and night like that. Yeah. Because of they know until become Buddha, it's maybe not for them to come and listen to new words. or reading of new texts, each time they come to the discourse is to gain a new wisdom within. Don't you realize that? You have heard the same thing so many times, but each time you listen, actually your wisdom is like, you amaze yourself. You're hearing the same word, but the realization in you is like increasing, like rapidly. Each time is amazing, isn't it? So these are so inspiring. That's why until we become Buddha, omniscient, we have to diligently have to work hard, practice, study, practice, non-stop. And I think that's so meaningful, and it's very, very, very wonderful, isn't it? To be able to do that, isn't it? We are not learning anything to cause harm to others. We are not gathered together to like how to destroy the world, how to destroy ourselves, how to destroy the neighbor, isn't it? We are come here to how to make betterment of anybody, at least yourself. It's amazing, isn't it? So rejoicing, so inspiring. For me, it's like to keep up like this. You are my inspiration. Each and every one of you are the inspiration, you see. Amazing. Okay, have a nice tea.